I don't know how long this video will go. I'm just gonna dig into the meter. More importantly, I'm interested in showing how easy these gauges can be repaired for usually cracked glass, which seems to be the common issue on these older ones. Cracked or chipped. Importantly, this gauge has to be removed either way for repainting, which this meter will get repainted. It's in a moderate condition. Now you might hear some radio traffic. I have a few scanners going because why the hell not? It is definitely an order variant. Really early serial number. Yeah. Not much else to say about it besides dig into it. I apologize for my bench being dirty. It's one thing that I can never seem to keep clean or get completely clean. Somebody at some point needed a new screw for this, so I actually have to grab two different screwdrivers, which is irritating. Because these aren't supposed to be Phillips and flathead. They're supposed to be both flathead. It would be nice if they were both Phillips. I just think Phillips is more superior than flathead. But for the issue of your driver slipping off, I can't tell. No, I think that's... Excuse me. I think that screw is still threading something. Yeah, it is. Wow, that one was threaded in long. This one also is seen some battery damage at some point. I'm gonna have to probably redo those. I don't like the way these look. And that post is loose anyway, so I'm gonna have to go at it. Old enough to... Oh, the cans make, without painted interiors, make really nice screw holders. It's old enough to have a swinging circuit board. Oh, this one's gonna... I got some interior work to do. Because it's, I see some corrosion on the board. I'd assume Ludlum didn't use the cheapest flux, but like any electronics this old, the flux likes to become issues if it wasn't cleaned off. Anyone who fixes Japanese electronics from the 70s and 80s will tell you the same thing. For the purpose of, it's a little oxidized up there. It's also oxidizing on the power side, the high voltage side. Now I can't get any battery test off of this. No response at all. I assume it might be something to do with these contacts, which just look horrendous, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Swinging boards are nice, but they're a pain in the butt to remove. Somebody's been in here once already. That screw is loose. Although the screw is loose, it was cool to see it still had its lock washer. those lock washers, unless you have a bag of them, are usually the first things to be lost. Even though this isn't a good painted meter, I have a... Oh yeah, I have to take this one out too. I have a piece of board down just to keep it off the bench. Mostly I'm worried about the glass falling out more than it already is. Thin glass is no fun to mess with. These are kind of nice, the older ones at least, because they have a circuit board against the gauge, which keeps you from having to deal with wires direct soldered to the gauge or wire terminals hooked to the gauge. They also needed some capacitance added that I don't know why they needed down here and they couldn't put on the board, but they have their reasons. Now these are a little harder to get the gauge out of, the swinging board ones at least. The same age as bottom screw ones, but past the swinging board. I assume they got rid of the swinging board because it was just too much effort in production. It makes no sense. Well, it made sense to have the swinging board, at least on these, but once you switch to ICs, it made no sense, I assume, to have a swinging board, especially since they no longer needed a screw terminal up top. Oh well. Now I'm rambling. But it's a little harder to get in. Oh, that one's loose. It's a little harder to get in and pull the gauge out on these because however way they had it, they probably had a dry... Oh, are all of these going to be loose? They probably... Okay. Actually, I don't think that one had a screw. I mean, a nut. Which is okay because I have replacement nuts I can use. But always hate seeing meters not completely put together. Now I don't have... Well, I might have an extension. Don't have an extension. So this one's a hard nut to get into with my current driver. Okay. Let's see if I can steal the driver I need from my brother. Well, I would steal it from my brother if he had one. brother and I have a joint workroom, so works out well, but do not like that angle. But it worked. So the swinging portion is riveted on, and then you just have one screw that keeps it latched. And on the battery side, you have a pivot that's built into a structure for the same purpose, which is alright. Well, I have to assume this one probably was took apart and the gasket wasn't put back on. The last one, because of a lack of screw and a few different other things that can contribute to the assumption. But there's no gasket on this one. Oh, nice. Glass everywhere. But it's kind of disconcerting still to see one without a gasket. These gauges are easy to get into. They're just very much a Swiss watch at times in sensitivity and components. You got 10 screws on the back that you have to remove, and they're brass, so you got to be careful removing them so you don't strip them, because if you strip them, you're in a bad day. I work for my container. Now, I won't be able to replace the glass on this today. I don't have... Oh, somebody used blue Loctite on it. I don't have a suitable pane of glass that I can cut and put in as a replacement. I have done that in the past. I've also in the past put acrylic back in replacement of the of the glass of the Pyrex that was originally there. But if you've ever owned a older Bicron meter, you know the acrylic, even though it is UV rated, doesn't always last in the sun. So it's not always a good replacement. All of these are loose. So somebody's been in this gauge once already. And whoever was in the gauge last put blue Loctite. These usually don't have blue Loctite on them. The most I've seen is the use of black silicone. Black silicone. So all the screws are out. There is, well, I hope this one does, but there is an O-ring. Oh, this one did not. Oh, Christ. Oh, and it's missing a screw. Oh. I think I know why. That's a thicker pane of glass than I've seen before. Oh, this one might have the screw. Because there's the screw washer, that lock washer. It's a super small copper lock washer, so it might have the screw in there somewhere. And I need a finer flathead. There we go. Well, this one's going to be a pain in the butt because whoever was in here last, I thought it was blue Loctite, but this is silicone of some type. And I've never seen these gauges use blue silicone, so I'm assuming because the glass is actually extra thick on this one, that somebody has been in it once before to fix glass, and that was their cheap seal way. But I'll probably end up using black silicone to seal it off again. But this needs a complete cleaning because there's a lot of dust and a lot of glass fragments in it. Oh, there's our missing screw. Yeah, that's our missing screw. This glass is usually epoxied in. But it is a thicker pane than I'm used to. Oh no, actually that is the original glass. Just thicker than I'm used to seeing. Looks to be about a quarter inch, maybe. Yeah, actually. Why guess when you can look? 3mm. I'm used to seeing 1.5mm glass. The best way of keeping the needle intact and not bending it is just set it back in its housing. So loose. Top spring looks intact. Yeah. Well, till I get pieces, the gauge is pulled apart, and I was hoping to clean the glass dust out of this. But the more I think about it, the better the idea of going outside and cleaning it off sounds better in my head instead of in the workroom. Because the workroom is, well, should be cleaner than than your outdoor space. Also, glass is no fun, and I walk around here in socks. Well, I'm gonna see if I can. There we go. I was just hit in the face with a piece of glass. There it is. Right? Nope. Wait, what am I doing? Easiest way to pick up glass shards on you, piece of tape. Yep, I got it. Good thing I was wearing my safety squints, which is dumb on my part. No need to mention that was dumb about glasses, but now the gauge is open, ready to be cleaned, and once it's cleaned, this whole seal will be re-cleaned and put back on. You can see where they had an O-ring in a channel. But it'll be cleaned. I'll test the function of the gauge before I pop it all back together, and then it'll be repainted and be ready to be installed back into the meter. The meter needs a lot more work than the gauge. Just these gauges are not that hard to work on, which was more the point of this video. No, never mind. I was gonna mention I might have a bezel with glass, but the bezel I have is missing the tuning screw that they like to put over a calibration label over, and all it does is move between these two prongs and allow you to zero the needle more. If I give you a back stop, you can probably see it better. The needle moves ever so slightly with it, and it allows you to knock the needle during calibration back down to 0. So it shows 0, and then from there you can complete your calibration. Which, these ones I like more than the new ones because they have a chevron on the end, or spade? It's a spade. And now I have a mess to clean up. Please be careful when that gauge is open. That needle movement is sensitive. You break it, you're never going to get it I got lucky with the glass being broke. That as of right now, it looks to be in operational condition. But once it is broke, it is, well, I don't want to say impossible to fix because I have fixed one. Just it's way more simpler. It's way more simple to just buy a new gauge or pull a gauge from another scrap meter and do a gauge swap once you break that needle system. It's not impossible to go through and repair, but it's definitely a tricky process and takes a lot of effort, time, patience. Not much else to say.